Hello, my name is Jerry Stichter. On behalf of the Ohio Auctioneers Association, we're here with Steve Andrews, a 2008 Hall of Fame inductee. We're here at the January 2011 convention, but we are interviewing Hall of Fame members and talking to them about their time in the auction business, what they've done, their perspective on certain things, and we have the man with all the answers right here beside us because I just found out he is from the Ohio State University. This has been a family business. How long have you had your auctioneer's license?
Since 1971.
Shortly after college, you
Yes,
started
right
right
after college. I graduated in 70, went to auction school in the fall of 70, and served the apprenticeship in 71. Licensed in December of that year.
What would your passion be if you could sell one thing over another, or do you've sold general things over this many years, I'm sure.
I think I like the diversity of it. I don't know that I'd really like doing just one thing. I like the livestock, I like the real estate, I like antiques. I like the diversity, and I like the challenge of all of them.
It's become a specialty world many times in the auction business today, but there are still a great many firms, and I think the Midwest holds a lot of them, that have become good and continue to be in representing diverse areas. You're from
Worcester, Ohio.
Mm-hmm. And just a general mid-central Ohio town and country.
That's true. That's true. We're a rural town, and came from Holmes County, which was even more rural. Grew up among the Amish and grew up around the livestock business, and became the 4th generation auctioneer in our family. And my son is now the 5th. So we've had it bred into us, and had was fortunate enough to grow up in that business and have a lot of family support from beginning to end.
If there's the 5 generations of Andrew auctioneers, there must have been 5 generations of work ethic.
There must have been somewhere along the line.
Yes, it seems like a lot of family members, not only by just direct, but friends and family, to make this go. The auctioneer on the block isn't the only person.
No, business has changed a lot, and of course my grandfather, I did not know, he passed in 40. He did a lot of traveling and selling of purebred livestock across the country, a lot of dairy cattle. My uncle then became more of a localized auctioneer, although he did travel some for dairy breeds. I traveled some for draft horses and did some for dairy breeds, so we do a little traveling for livestock, but the crux of our business is in a 2 or 3 county area at home.
And you've been a member of the OAA, you've been through the chairs of the OAA. What's your viewpoint on this organization?
It's been a blessing, really, to me. I mean, I came down here first with my uncle and got acquainted with the auctioneers that were leading the profession at that time, and certainly learned from them, and just enjoyed being a part of that scene for a long time. My uncle was a past president, and that came to me about being a director, and from there on we moved up through the chairs, and I enjoyed all of it, although it's been maybe about 20 years since I was president, somewhere in that neck of the woods. I think it was 91 or 2. So time flies pretty fast.
But education has been a theme in this organization. I know you promoted that. I think you believe in it. Where do we continue with this technology and education stream?
Yeah, we were just talking the other day about what it was, when we started, and what the next 10 years might bring. I don't know, and we've changed a lot. I know that, and I think we need to continue to be on the edge of that education and keep upgrading. And but a lot of it's going to come back to a lot of the old basics. I mean, you can do a lot of technology things with technology. Still pretty hard to beat the man on the block and the buyer in the crowd, in my book.
The old handshake contract is not allowed by our rules and regulations, but it still needs to be part of the business. You have to be able to talk to people and have everybody on the same wavelength.
That's exactly true, and I've been in the business long enough to tell them that, we used to do this on one piece of paper and a handshake, and now when you do a real estate contract, there's 6 or 8 pieces of paper, but the handshake at the end and the beginning is still the biggest part of it. If you're not as good as what you write on the paper and your word's not as good as what you put down, well, your paper doesn't amount to much.
They're gonna pick that up pretty quick, aren't they?
Yeah, sure.
Others getting started. Now, you were in a more or less family-oriented family business. Is there a pathway? If I'm getting started or I'm struggling, maybe I've been doing this 12 years, and what do I do now?
It is a tough business to get into, and it's, I still remember my uncle talking to me about that a little bit. He said probably one of the toughest things in this line of work is that maybe you don't become very popular until you attain about the age of the people that you're working for. And he said they're quitting. A lot of them are retiring. But I've been fortunate enough that we slid into it a little before that and stuff. But it's not an easy business to break into, and we were really fortunate, like I say, to have a venue to work in. I worked at a livestock auction from the time I got back from Auctioneers school, and pretty soon I was working in 3 of them. And all of that family presence and name recognition does you a lot of good to begin with. After that, you still have to produce and keep that up, or all the recommendation early on isn't really going to do you much good if you can't handle the business.
Yeah, the auctioneer and auction business are not really one and the same. They are separate entities. And the bid calling, you're pretty good at it. But again, that only one part.
A very small part, and in our specific area, and maybe even across the country, an auctioneer is judged a lot on his bid calling, and I also say that that's a pretty small part of the business, but it is a part that sells you a lot and sets you apart a lot in the business. But I've known some very average bid callers that have been huge successes in the auction business, huge successes. So it's a part of it. Getting back to the getting started, I've had, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 apprentices over the years, and a lot of them were first generation auctioneers. But to show you that there's a way to get into that business and get going, they've served that apprenticeship and they've taken off, and most of them are making a living in the auction business, and most of them are making a very good living. So, and they're not working for me. They've gone on to other venues and gotten started and done well.
You can find your niche.
You can find a niche. It's there if you work at it.
Any unusual in finding that niche? You've sold livestock. Did the cow jump out of the ring one time, or anything happened that you could remember?
Oh, there's always different stories from different things. I think I helped Kiko's with a sale one day, and Randall reminded me the other day of the one that the very first cow I sold jumped out of the ring at the farm sale.
That's making that up.
But that was the true story. I've had a lot of accidents in the horse sale business over the years, some of them a little on the gruesome side, but they've led to improvements in how they handle the livestock as it's come through. But it's a hard lesson to learn, and should have been, the precaution just wasn't there. But after the accident, some of the precaution was taken.
I think the profession has grown that, a rope in front of the crowd's not going to work. That, why don't we have a gate or a barrier? But that's true not only education, prevention, forethought, insight. Those are things that you think auctioneer's a bid caller. these are also integral parts of what we do.
Service is the name of the game, and I think all of us that have been in as long as I have, you know, pretty much we started operating out of the trunk of our car and carried the table and chairs. My grandfather, I can still remember my uncle telling me that in his day, a farmer would call him up and say, we want to have a sale on November 13th, and Walter would say, okay, I'll write it down, I have that day open, send me a sale bill when you get her done. And he'd show up on sale day. That was kind of the amount of the preparation.
And the directions weren't from the interstate either, were they?
No, they weren't.
It was at the Walter Jones farm.
Yeah.
And the people got there, made it work. Did you start with a PA system or?
No, in the barns, in the livestock barns, yes, and maybe the major purebred sales, but on the farm and in the household end of it, I suppose we worked. We may have worked 20 years before we bought one.
Anything you'd like to add for our audience? You know, this is again, you know, we appreciate the time the Hall of Famers have given us, and any advice or comments that end on?
Oh, I don't know if I've got any words of wisdom for anybody or not, but it's been a great business. It can be a great business. It's as good as you want to make it. I think if you're as good to the business as the business is to you, you'll have a good marriage and a successful career.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Jerry Stichter, again with Steve Andrews, Hall of Fame 2008, and they don't take it away once you get it. That's the good part.
It's for there.
It's for there. Your peers thought a great deal of you, and we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.